Apparent security incident at a Donald Trump campaign rally in Pennsylvania. Here's the moment the president ducked for cover as the Secret Service rushed the stage, and a warning: some viewers might find this video disturbing.
Take a look at what happened.
You can hear loud noises ring out in the background, followed by screams from the crowd. Members of the Secret Service walked Trump to a nearby vehicle and drove him away. Meanwhile, those in attendance slowly left the rally. Trump's campaign is telling the Associated Press in a statement that he was, quote, fine after being whisked off the stage. They went on to say that the presumptive Republican nominee is getting checked out at a local hospital. And CBC's senior correspondent Paul Hunter is following this story for us from Washington. Paul, such dramatic moments that happened not even an hour ago. What do we know at this hour?
Not a lot more than what you just said, Deanna. Yeah, he's being treated in a local hospital and he's fine. We've seen the video many times now. After he goes down, he motions up to his ear and then he goes down. Secret Service kind of come on top of him. There's two teams, by the way, with ex-presidents and presidents, one to try to secure him and the other to take down whoever was attacking. So that's why you see multiple people looking in different directions on the stage. We know that he's fine in that local hospital. He was in a town called Butler, Pennsylvania, obviously at a campaign stop. Butler is about 60, 70 kilometers north of Pittsburgh. That is deep Trump country. That is the part of this country where Trump is sort of supremely popular. And all of this, of course, comes just 2 days ahead of the Republican National Convention, the nominating convention, where Trump will officially be made the Republican Party nominee. And that's effectively all we know at this point, other than bigger picture stuff, which is that this is, there he is being whisked off into the SUV with the fist raised. He raised his fist multiple times, we've seen on camera. This is the kind of thing that this country has been headed towards in its fiercely divided politics, the kind of rhetoric we've been hearing for the past number of years. In all fairness, a lot of it led by Donald Trump. There are many who would have thought it was only a matter of time before this kind of thing were to happen. And again, we don't know exactly what was fired at Trump, and we're, in all fairness, still presuming we can say fired. There is the sound of what appear to be gunshots, multiple gunshots, including after, as far as I could tell, I've only seen the video a couple of times, but including after Trump went down. I've been to Trump rallies, many of them. These are highly securitized events. You go through metal detectors. Everybody does. Everybody in the crowd goes through metal detectors. I don't know how you would get a gun into such an event. Obviously, this is an outdoor event. I don't know what the surrounding countryside is, whether there are hills and trees where, in theory, a sniper. Can you believe we're talking about a sniper and a presidential campaign rally? Where a sniper could be. Obviously, there's a lot we don't know. But the bottom line right now, Donald Trump is said to be in good shape at that local hospital. We saw the blood on his ear, and we heard the gunshots. It's a remarkable moment in U.S. politics. But again, one I think already it's fair to say many people would have said it was a matter of when, not if, this kind of thing would happen.
And Paul, you're painting such a poignant and rich context there for us of all the years during which you've covered U.S. politics and really how much more volatile politics are in the U.S. Than they have been maybe 20 years ago or so. And I wanted to ask you, from what we know right now, from what you know of the protocol and procedure in the U.S., what is going to be happening next in terms of an investigation and I suppose reassurances of the public that he is okay? They said he is fine, but we did appear to see blood on his face, whether it was a graze, what kind of a level of an injury it is, I guess we'll find out. What do you anticipate is going to happen next?
Or whether anyone else was hurt, and
right.
Where is the person with the gun? I hate to answer with a giant question mark, but that's truly what we have right now. I mean, this just happened. I can't even believe we're talking about this. It's what appears to be an assassination attempt on Donald Trump. If it is the case that a bullet or a pellet, whatever it was, fired apparently from that weapon, if it just grazed his ear, which would have caused the blood that we saw when he later is brought up by his Secret Service team, that's centimeters from him, right? This could well have been a lot worse for Donald Trump. It is an awful circumstance, no matter how you shake it. And again, here we are just ahead of the nominating convention for Donald Trump. Who knows what this does to that? It's all guesswork at this point. I think we have to presume it will go ahead. I think we have to presume that Donald Trump is going to be fine if it was simply the graze to the ear. I don't want to go worst case scenarios, and I think we can't, but it was when the assassination attempt was made on Ronald Reagan, it was only after the fact that they found there had been a serious wound to him. I think we can say that that's not the case here with Donald Trump. If he is indeed in the local hospital where doctors would have had a chance to take a look at him, and once again, the word that we've had from that hospital is that he is fine. And multiple times we saw him raise his fist, as he does at these rallies, to let people know that he was good. But even the look on his face, separate from the blood we saw coming from his ear. I've seen Donald Trump, we've all seen him many times on TV, of course. I've seen him in person a lot. I've never seen that look on his face. He looked shocked and stunned, as would be expected. But somehow you don't expect that from Donald Trump no matter what. But then again,
Right.
This has never happened to Donald Trump before. It's stunning. The hair is standing on the back of my neck as I talk about this, Deanna. It's kind of an unreal moment. Notwithstanding that what I was saying earlier, that given the nature of the political debate, if you want to be generous about it in this country, given the fierceness of the divide, the polarization of politics broadly, the rhetoric leading people down the path of violence, it would seem. Again, I think for many, it was a matter of when, not if. And here we are. This is that day that this has happened.
Paul, your rich experience in covering not just U.S. politics, but American culture, the polarization of American political culture is really helping out here, even though we have, as you pointed out, we know so few details. And it really struck me that you mentioned, of course, Trump likes to compare himself to Ronald Reagan frequently. Reagan, of course, there's been an attempt on his life as well. Trump also likes to compare himself to Abraham Lincoln, who was fatally shot, as is well known. It does appear, of course, right now that Donald Trump is fine, so that this injury, if it did happen, was fairly minor. But it is so interesting. These are figures from American history that he likes to draw analogies between himself and them.
And look, I don't mean to jump too far ahead in this because A, we don't really know anything about what has happened and what is happening on the ground in Butler, Pennsylvania. But given that Trump seems to be okay, if we're to take what we've learned from the hospital on its face, and once the kind of shock wears off, I mean, look, I think it's fair to say that this will be politicized unto itself. That I don't think anybody would be surprised if Donald Trump, if this becomes part of the marketing, if you will, for Donald Trump. Again, and I have, unless doctors order him not to, I have nothing to believe that he wouldn't be at the Republican nominating convention this coming week in Milwaukee. And what will this mean for his followers, the hardcore MAGA people that we've talked about so much over the course of time? How much will this reinforce for them, to go to the language of MAGA, that the deep state is out to get, that conspiracy theory, we'll find out who, if authorities find whoever had that weapon, but let's suppose they don't, or go down this rabbit hole for a moment. The conspiracy theories that will abound, the kind of things that people will say about what was behind this from the MAGA crowd, this can go in all kinds of terrible directions. And what does this mean for Joe Biden?
Right.
This complicates everything, I think, beyond imagination at this point. This appears to be an assassination attempt on an ex-president campaigning to be president of the United States. It's stunning.
Just as we're having this conversation, Paul, I see that Chuck Schumer has posted a statement that political violence has no place in the U.S. I think last I read, President Joe Biden had said that he had not been briefed yet on the incident, but that was about 45 minutes ago. I'm sure we'll be getting a fresh statement from him any moment now. But as you said, the implications of this could be so far-reaching, and while we cannot predict them at the time, what you have said is definitely the direction that we could see this moving in. Paul, thank you so much for bringing your wealth of experience to this story, and I'm sure we'll be talking about it more. If you want to stay with us, we'll come back to you in just a few minutes. Thank you so much, Paul.
You're welcome.
CBC's Paul Hunter in Washington. The next thing, I want to bring in CBC's Richard Madden, who joins us on the line now. He's also in Washington. Richard, what do we know about this incident right now?
Yeah, good evening. I'm echoing what Paul said. This just happened, so there's a lot of shock and a lot of questions that have yet to be answered. We do know the Secret Service just issued a statement moments ago, along with the former president's campaign manager, who said that Donald Trump is fine. The Secret Service saying that President Trump thanks law enforcement and first responders for their quick action during this heinous act. He is fine, and he's being checked out at a local medical facility. I'm assuming that's in Pittsburgh, which is near Butler, that straddles the Ohio-Pennsylvania border. This is deep country. So more details will follow. That is from Trump's spokesperson. The Secret Service now saying an incident occurred on the evening of July 13th at a Trump rally in Pennsylvania that, of course, was broadcast live across the nation. The Secret Service implemented protective measures, and the former president is safe. This is now an active Secret Service investigation, and further information will be released. So we're standing by for that. But clearly what we're seeing in Butler, Pennsylvania is pretty much a crime scene now, as these shocked supporters I could just imagine the fear that gripped this rally deep in the heart of Trump country. I've also seen Trump several times on the campaign trail and gone to his rallies. As Paul said, it's like going into an airport. You have to go through security screening. So how somebody brought in something to create this is going to be one of those questions. This also completely changes the trajectory of the campaign. If Trump is fine and he attends the Republican National Convention on Monday, I suspect he'll be greeted with a hero's welcome after what he just went through. He looks stunned, as he would be, as he was carried off the stage pumping his fists in the air. Another thing we're watching to see is what's the White House's reaction. President Biden is in Delaware. He's not at the White House, and there's a small group of reporters that cover the president, and they follow his every move, and they issue what's called pool reports whenever there's information or new details from the president. And Biden was asked shortly after this incident occurred. He was just leaving church, and the pool asked if he had been briefed on the shooting at the Trump rally. President Biden said no. That was about an hour ago. I assume he has since been briefed, and so we're standing by for any information from the White House. But clearly, this is a shocking turn of events that we've seen at this rally, just 4 months before Americans cast their ballots, and we have a situation like this. It completely changes the dynamic, the trajectory, and the political discourse in America.
I mean, definitely. Just 24 hours ago, the story of Joe Biden's cognitive or physical aptitude to lead for another 4 years was the biggest story in the U.S. This has definitely changed in the last hour. Richard, I just want to read some of the responses we're getting from some politicians from both sides of the aisle. The House Democratic leader, Hakeem Jeffries, says, "My thoughts and prayers are with former President Trump." We're also getting some updates. Chuck Schumer said, I'm horrified by what happened at the Trump rally in Pennsylvania, relieved that former President Trump is safe. Political violence has no place in our country. Also, Speaker Mike Johnson says he's praying for President Trump. And Mitch McConnell says tonight all Americans are grateful that President Trump appears to be fine after a despicable attack at a peaceful rally. Violence has no place in our politics. Richard, one of the rare times that statements by Democratic and Republican lawmakers seem to echo each other. Richard, drawing on your experience covering American politics, how do you see this affecting the Republican convention that was slated to start on Monday? I mean, could everything be derailed?
I think this changes the tone, and I think, this will rally the Trump base. It will harden the Trump base. And as I mentioned earlier, I suspect when Trump does take the stage, he will be greeted with an absolute hero's welcome among his hard supporters who will be in attendance at that convention. And of course, conservative media will rally behind him more so than before. Again, I have never seen anything like this. And it really changes the mood and the tone in this country. And I suspect we'll see it play out. And as Paul alluded to, the conspiracy theories that will stem from this has yet to be written. But it is absolutely stunning. And I think, the next thing that will be on the minds of Americans is who did this. And that person, if that person has any political leanings, that will be amplified to a level that we haven't seen before. Governor Josh Shapiro of Pennsylvania, a Democrat, is another voice to throw his concern in the situation. He said he's been briefed on the situation, and he further says in a statement, violence targeted at any political party or political leader is absolutely unacceptable. And this is the Democrat governor of Pennsylvania, who, of course, this is where the rally, Trump's rally, was in Butler. So you're hearing from the Democratic governor of Pennsylvania adding his voice to the chorus of other state and federal leaders who denounced what happened today.
Richard, thank you so much for that context. And I know we'll be coming back to you as the situation progresses and as more details become known. Thank you, Richard. That's CBC's Richard Madden in Washington.